Hey guys, today at work I was positively surprised because I noticed that somebody felt comfortable confiding in me about something that was bothering them, and it really shocked me because it made me realize we're all people here together and the things you do actually do matter. I think so many times we get in this mindset of like, I'm not where I want to be yet. For so much of my life, I've wanted to achieve things such as a degree, a career, relationship, house. And now recently that I've gotten those things, I've been kind of exploring what now? What was the goal? Is the goal to get there and to enjoy it, or is the goal to keep being in search of new things that you may desire? And I find that just noticing, the concept of solipsism, that you're the only person here experiencing this, could not be further from the truth. My friend said to me the other day, I like to fundamentally believe that people are just trying their best with what they have. And I think the more we can acknowledge that, the more we can realize just how magnificent it is that we are in the world. It's kind of a paradox. Like, we're not the only one experiencing the world, but very much we can create a shift in how everyone else is going to experience it. Sometimes I think to myself, I do work, but it's not important. I'm just here. I'm just working. You're told to work for your career, but I don't think you understand that if you work at a job with 50 coworkers, that's 50 people whose lives you're impacting every single day. That's 50 people who, I've always had people tell me, you're so happy, you always smile. And I was a very depressed person in the past, but I learned it's like the only way out is through. We're here on this planet. You're going to be here. You've got it to deal with. That's actually a beautiful thing because if you're already at rock bottom, that's the best place to start. You could sit with nothing to look forward to. And if you decide to yourself, I told my friend the other day, when I'm at work, I always keep myself smiling all day. I think truly when we are depressed and someone tells you, oh, work out, go outside, get some sun, we're not happy to hear that advice because I think deep down we know we're depressed because there's an imbalance somewhere. Like something is not working. For me, there were times where everything felt so difficult. It was making me depressed. Like, oh, I have to work out. I have to go to work. I have to study, and so you get depressed and become avoidant. And someone telling you, oh, you'll be less depressed if you go out with friends or smile is such unwanted advice because you feel, you idiot, you don't know how hard it is to already do that. But I think I'm just saying, entertain the concept that what you do matters and that you do have control and that choosing positivity is always going to provide you comfort. There were moments I had no indication that applying effort or enthusiasm would change my outcome. Moments where you're so low, you think to yourself, well, why would that make it better? It's not gonna. I'm not well right now. But if you're underground and you're trying to dig your way up, you're not going to see that there's light above you. You just have to believe that it will be there and it will come out. And that's a very hard thing to do, to work towards something you can't see. But ironically, I've done that my whole life. And then you get your dream career and you ask yourself, what am I doing? But I think just knowing how much you are a benefit to those around you just by being you. And that's another point I wanted to bring up in this video. Like, I was shocked that this girl came and talked to me about an issue that was concerning her because I didn't even realize I just got a new job. I didn't even realize that I was making that impression on people, coming across exactly how I want to come across as, an approachable person, someone who's there to help, someone who's there to make others feel good. And the reason why is that provides me a sense of self that I know I'm here for a purpose, and I think you can always be kind of a staircase for other people to be what they want to be. And they might need that little boost to become who they're here to be. We always ask ourselves with political issues, what would someone be if, they were given the chance to be born and all that stuff. But I ask those of us that are alive, what chance are we given? Are people given positive communities, supportive environments, resources they need? No, often not. You can't save the whales. You got to know a balance between like, it quite literally is radical to treat everyone with positivity, and it's also sometimes not possible. I've been in toxic workplaces before where I realized I was the only one taking this seriously and everyone else was playing in my face. And the moment you realize that in a relationship, in a job, you gotta go as fast as you can. If you know you're a person, and I recommend being a person that does things to the best of their ability. I always do the things I think matter to my full integrity, my full effort, my full ability. And when I find that someone knows something is not clicking and they're choosing to ignore it, I run far away from that situation because that is literally the antithesis of growth. Like, growth is embracing the struggle, embracing that you're not where you want to be yet. When you are saying, I know there's a problem and I'm going to turn a blind eye to it, that is the most low vibrational environment. But I say all that to say, you have exactly everything you need to do what you need to be. Like, for example, I got a pencil thinking about kids in school. If you're in a school, the kids have a book, a pencil, a computer, and then the rest of it is on them. These kids don't come in a school to learn already knowing everything. They might not even have good writing skills or reading skills. Some of them might not know English. But a kid in a school is put there with the understanding they have everything they need to succeed. Now, societally, that's not always the case. When we look at underfunding of schools, underappreciation of teachers, maybe that's a whole other issue. And I think there's a difference of knowing your empathy can make a ripple in something, and knowing we all need to band together and personally look out for our neighbors. I believe very much in mutual aid because I think the reason there's so many homeless people in America is people will see someone sitting on the street or know somebody has nowhere to stay, and they will never take it upon themselves to house that person or to provide them some support or to ask them how they're doing, check in with them. We always say someone will handle that. And it's a collective thought bubble above all of us saying that. So it really is that important. Not only do you have the tools you need to succeed, you need to show up every day saying, I am going to be that person that chooses to intervene. I am going to make it my problem. You know, use your natural tendencies to help you. Use being nosy. Use being curious. Use those things to investigate what's going on in the world around you, and it will make a difference on people. You know, I remember when I was in high school, I got interviewed for a YouTube channel and it was about a political issue. And someone asked me, well, that's all fine and all, you're talking about this political issue, but would you let 20 people come live in your house? And I was like, you really picked the wrong person to ask that question to. I genuinely would. I think it's important that you know what you're here to do. And I think the moment you start caring about others, you know, there were moments where I said, I am at rock bottom. How could I care at all, respectfully, what happens to others? Nobody cares what's happening to me. Be that person. Do you know how high of a frequency it is to be a blessing to somebody else? Like, to know that you are the person that could have changed the whole trajectory for you. And guess what? With kids who get bullied and stuff, I know a lot of adults who have been bullied as kids, and they always say how it was like their Joker arc and nothing positive came out of it. And adults always say, oh, well, it builds character. A character you're never going to have to build because you actually got a chance at forming a concrete identity and a feeling of self-efficacy and self-worth at a developmentally young age. But I say that to say, maybe you went through the things you did to be almost like that Gandhi kind of person for those around you. And I really think we glamorize people who have done things throughout history, like Mother Teresa or Gandhi, and they've also done bad things. I argue that in this society, You don't have to feed 40,000 people. You can check on your neighbor and make sure they're okay. You can check in on your coworkers and hold that burden for them for a minute. And I find that alchemizing emotions into love is kind of peak. And I really plan on ways to explain this because it's a very complicated concept, but I'm very big on protecting my energy in the way that I literally rebuke anything bad. Like the other day, I was talking to a man and he was just saying a lot of negative things about women. And I was like, I don't even allow that frequency to like go into mine and make mine bad. It's like my frequency of positivity is this. When someone says, "Oh, all women are bad," blah blah blah, it hits like that. And the way it hits is I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to let that raise my cortisol. I'm not going to respond with, "Well, that's not cool for you to say." I'm going to say, well, maybe some women have value. Whatever the thing is, I'm gonna provide a rebuttal that's not even a rebuttal, it's my outlook, and it's reaffirming to myself that there is positivity and it is all around and there is no other option. Because quite frankly, people want you to give up. There's a whole market on you giving up. Because when you give up, you support these negative things that are plaguing society, like addiction, you know, whether that's substances, gambling, abandoning your family, all these things. The prison system profits off hoping people are making the wrong decisions. And the moment you can decide to beat that statistic by just being positive, it comes from your nervous system. You can be or you can't be, but it's not a you are or you aren't. It's like you are. You can choose to be or not to be. Everyone in them has a groundedness, they have a peace. And I think modern society shakes so much of that from us that we think it's not possible, you know? Um, I mean, like I will say a good example of something where I'm not immune is like I get really irritated driving because I'm very driven with the things I do and I have places to be. And when someone is in my way and will not move, it frustrates me so much. And I'm aware that that's low vibrational. Like anything where you lose your cool is low vibrational because it is literally siphoning energy from you. And unfortunately, you cannot choose the distractions in this life, but it's also fortunate because every time a bad thing happens to you, I want you to change your mind and think, I'm not even perceiving this as a bad thing. What do I need to do? It's that simple. Have you ever met those people where something happens to them and there's so many solutions? I am this way sometimes, and people will be really mean when you are this way, but then they will be the same way about something else. It's just, but someone has an issue and they don't accept help because I think so often we're almost in this cycle of like punishing ourselves. And like for example, for me it's cleaning up. I can never clean up. It's always, oh my gosh, I need help cleaning. It's a mess, it's a mess. And someone will say, "Oh, well, you need to take better care of your space." And I'm like, well, that's kind of the whole problem, is so that's where it comes in that like it's good to not assign things negative characteristics, but also if you're trying to assist someone going through something negative, we all need a hug. Like everyone in this society needs a hug. If someone needs help, you can provide them a solution, but sometimes people just need someone to talk to. There have been so many times I needed an encouraging word or whatever, and I'm always going to choose to encourage people and speak life into them. Now, I do encounter a lot of people that don't respond well to that, and that leads me to think that above needing help, it's more of an attention seeking behavior when reassurance doesn't work. So I think you need to I move through life by giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, and then from that point on, using my discernment as to whether or not it's worth my while to care. But I think I say all that to say it's so nice to know that in the couple of weeks I've worked at a new job, I've I mean, I haven't even tried. Like, you try to be yourself, you try to be nice, but I'm saying you have everything you need in you to be the best person ever. You know, I always try to speak life into my friends, and because there's so many times that would have made me feel better. There's so many times someone told me, "Oh, your outfit's really cool." And I was like, I didn't know people are perceiving me in a good way. And I think on such a fundamental human level, you need to know that it matters you're here. And I'm telling you right now, it matters you're here. I'm telling you how to become this excellent person that makes other people know it matters they're here and do this great ripple effect of positivity. And I want you to know as well, on your worst day, when you're laying in bed, it still matters you're here. You know, it all matters we're here. The fact that you can think, that matters. Every thought you've had, that matters. Like, so many people spend this life ready to leave it early, and you will at some point get to do that. And my goal is that you will form some attachment to this life before that happens. Like, my goal is that you will know every day you're here, it matters that you have a favorite color and a favorite flavor of ice cream and a favorite song and the way it felt when you got your first kiss and did all this stuff. Like, it matters so much. We all matter so much. The fact that AI is running crazy and, we're trying to make everything better. What is there to make better? We're already perfect, you know? I met a guy the other day who said he worked in AI, and I said, AI? And he said, it's the future. And I said, what future? You know, if you've seen the movie Harold and Maude, it's one of my favorite movies. It got me this whole philosophy that it actually does matter. We're here, and I highly recommend it. The more depressed you are, the more I recommend you watch that movie because I don't like watching movies that siphon your energy and make you more depressed. But that movie actually opened my eyes that it does matter. You can be Maude to somebody. But, everything about her character in the movie, she says that it's just horrible. There's zoos and there's cages and humans are in cages and we weren't put here to be in a cage. And that's how I feel about AI. I mean, it's the antithesis of everything beautiful. And I'm at a point where I must be a bit more polarizing about the things that matter because it's reaching a fever pitch where it's very important. We stand 10 toes down on what matters. But I think above all else, where I feel sometimes I'm more wishy-washy, but that might have been what I was put here to be. I have a friend who's a wonderful activist and is just the most intelligent, like informed, bold person. And even this friend of mine experiences doubts about why am I here? What am I put here to do? I have multiple friends like this, so many, all of them even. And I want to say to these people, you are the most creative, intelligent, important person I could possibly think of. And maybe no one's going to come out and tell you that about you, but you are so important. You have the most worth. But you watching this, like, you do too. I don't know you. I can't say, I'm sure if I knew you, I could, I would tell you what I like about you, but I can't. But we're sitting here together and you're watching this video about how to be better, how to feel good. And just the fact you clicked play, the fact that you can try is the most revolutionary thing, in a society that is banking on us being apathetic, banking on us being indifferent. It matters so much for you to pick up the first brick and say, I'm going to try. You know, when I was super out of shape and I went to the gym the first time, it was so embarrassing. And I'm like, when do I get fit? This is so embarrassing. Nothing is worse than being in the gym when you're out of shape. And I knew, I mean, I know now that I'm on the other side of it and I'm not afraid anymore. It's like the process of admitting you're not perfect is perfection in itself. Just you being here, you can never understand how much that means to everyone around you. You are exactly who you need to be. Don't let anything make you doubt for a second what you need to do. go do the best you can, and that's all you're here to do. Love you.